Okay, baseball fans, it's Vegas Stiltskin coming out to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. It's another beautiful day here in Las Vegas, October 2nd, 2025. High today is 90, low will be 63, and another beautiful sunny day in Las Vegas. And without further ado, let's get to the Vegas 9 ball today. We've got 9 great cards coming at you, and we're going to start here with Robin Yount, O-Pee-Chee, 1983. It's a great in-action photo of Robin Yount at shortstop. Here he's pointing up in the sky. Looks like a pop-up. Looks like the third baseman's going to get underneath it, put that one away. But a nice in-action shot of Robin Yount, Hall of Famer. This is an O-Pee-Chee card, and O-Pee-Chee was the Canadian tops of the era. Basically, they had the same card, the same photo, but it would just say O-Pee-Chee instead of tops. Leaf always also did this with Donruss during this time period in the 80s, where they would have the same card, the same picture, but just have the Leaf or the O-Pee-Chee for the Canadian version. But yeah, this is a Robin Yount O-Pee-Chee, a nice in-action photo of the Hall of Famer, and it's a nice card. Robin Yount. Next card, being here from Las Vegas, we love Oscar Gamble. Oscar Gamble was a big prospect. He was originally drafted by the Cubs, and was supposed to be the next Ernie Banks. I think he was signed by Buck O'Neil from the Negro League fame, who also signed Ernie Banks, and he was touted as the next coming of Ernie Banks. He never quite developed into that type of player, but he did have elite power and was a designated hitter and pinch hitter for several years in the league, and had elite power, and just couldn't quite live up to that potential he had early in his career. But yeah, Oscar Gamble, and of course, being from Las Vegas, we love Oscar Gamble. We'll put him here from Vegas Stiltskin. Next card is Eddie Murray. Of course, Eddie Murray, one of the best switch hitters of all time. Here batting left-handed for the Orioles. He was the all-time, the 1980s RBI leader. So he was a great run producer in the 1980s, the greatest there was in the game. And, of course, he had several great years for the Orioles, but also he played for the Dodgers and the Mets, I can remember, among other teams, I believe. But Eddie Murray, yeah, one of the greatest switch hitters of all time. That's a nice card, 1980s tops. Eddie Murray. Put him on the stand. Hall of Famer. Next card is a 1960s version, mid-60s, Bob Rogers. I don't remember him as a player, but I remember him as a manager. I remember him with the white hair, managing the Expos in the mid-80s. He managed a couple other teams as well, but he's one of those catchers who develop into big league managers. You see it quite often where catchers become managers after they retire. And Bob Rogers is a prime example of that. Good player, but better manager. And I remember him on the Expos in the mid-80s. Here's the early 90s player version of Darryl Kile. Darryl Kile was a frontline pitcher, a number 1 or 2 starter for the Astros, and then later the Cardinals. Unfortunately, I remember him during a series against the Cubs in Chicago. He didn't show up to the ballpark, and they actually found him dead in his hotel room. Unfortunately, it passed away, and I remember I think the game was canceled that day. And it's very unfortunate. Darryl Kile, frontline starter for the Cardinals at the time, passed away in his hotel room. So very unfortunate, and rest in peace, Darryl Kile. There's that Tony Cloninger. He was one of the better hitting pitchers in the 1960s. Big hoss here, big country strong boy. And he actually hit 2 grand slams in the same game. Imagine that. How's that for supporting yourself? Putting up runs while you're on the mound. 2 grand slams in the same game. Tony Cloninger. And this is why I miss, one of the reasons why I miss pitchers hitting in baseball. Some pitchers can hit, and it also, of course, takes the bunt and the strategy out of the game. I wish the National League would have kept the pitcher that hits, but unfortunately, it's universal DH now, and let's hope that it goes back, but I think that may be wishful thinking. But Tony Cloninger, one of the best hitting pitchers of the 60s, 2 grand slams in one game. Imagine that. Next card is Keith Hernandez. He's wearing the Nacho helmet there, the helmet with no flaps. He's smiling here, very happy. Of course, he was happy a lot of the times during this time period. He was accused of being heavily into cocaine, and that's why the Cardinals ended up trading him to the Mets. But I enjoyed his work, later on Seinfeld, and then he's done a good job as a broadcaster for the Mets later on. And he's happy here, and I always enjoyed his game. Very good player, very good first baseman for the Cardinals and Mets. And, Keith Hernandez, good player. 8th card of the day is Rick Sutcliffe. Speaking of drugs, his Redco card here. Sutcliffe was a frontline pitcher for the Cubs during most of the 80s and the early 90s. Of course, he had a great season in 84 when the Cubs required him during the year. Of course, the Cubs had to give up a big package to get him. They had to give up Joe Carter, who was later become a Hall of Famer, and Mel Hall. But Rick Sutcliffe had a lot of good years, none better than 1984 when the Cubs got him. I think he went 17-1 or something after the Cubs acquired him, 18-1 after the Cubs acquired him in 1984. And, of course, that's the year we thought the Cubs were going to finally win the World Series. Unfortunately, they were defeated by the Padres in 1984. And here's hoping today, October 2nd, the Cubs have a big game against the Padres, a deciding game of the wild card round here in the 2025 playoffs. So let's go Cubs today, and let's do a little better than 1984 against the Padres. So Rick Sutcliffe, Cubs legend, we'll put him on a stand. The Red Baron. And the last card today is another 1984 Cubs pitcher, Scott Sanderson. He's a good pitcher for the Cubs during most of the 1980s. He was kind of their number 3 or 4 starter, and very consistent. Later on, I think he would pitch for the Expos, but good pitcher for the Cubs for several years in the 80s, and like that nice Rawlings glove shot there. We're having a Rawlings glove. Growing up, Ryan Sandberg on the palm, but Scott Sanderson, another good pitcher for the Cubs in the 1980s. I'll put him on the Cubs stand here, and that's going to conclude the Vegas 9 for today, October 2nd, 2025. We appreciate you watching, and let's go Cubs today. Big game.